May I just refer to something that was in the papers over the past several days? You've read the story, I'm sure you have, about this port business, whether we should have given our port facilities, 5 major ports, to a company based in Dubai. I don't know how many of you subject yourselves to reading the New York Times, but you surely know the name Thomas Friedman, who writes a column in the New York Times about American foreign policy and who frequently appears on television. And there last Wednesday is this column by Thomas Friedman saying, how can we be doing this? We are poking a finger in the eye of a potential ally. This ought not to happen because Dubai is the Arab Singapore. And therefore this is what we want for the Middle East, and they've accomplished it, and we won't let them run our ports. What's the difference between Singapore and Dubai? It apparently escaped Mr. Friedman, but Singapore is an independent nation with a maturing democracy. Dubai is a city that looks a lot like Singapore. I've been there several times. It is fantastic. You can't imagine it. Here you are flying over this miserable Saudi Arabian desert, and your Emirates airplane lands at a state-of-the-art airport, and there you see a skyline that makes Manhattan look old hat. Futuristic buildings, financial institutions, hotels, fantastic golf courses and racetracks, and a bustling market, and you see women driving, and it's not at all what you would expect. The residential real estate there is rising in value faster than anywhere else in the world. They've taken a piece of the continental shelf, filled it in the form of a palm tree, and you can see it from the air. It's so big. The main avenue is the trunk of the palm tree, and then the palm leaves are the secondary arteries, and the palm fronds are the housing developments with canals in between. Fantastic. No place else in the world. It looks, if this is the Arab world of the future, great. And I would have no trouble turning over the port facilities we talked about the way the proposal had it. However, there is a small problem. Dubai is not independent. It is not Singapore. It is a small sliver of territory, about 1,500 square miles, that's part of a bigger country called the United Arab Emirates. And the United Arab Emirates is a 7-state federation run by 7 emirs who don't know the difference between democracy and totalitarianism, obviously, because Mr. Bush would have been over there telling them. The fact of the matter is, they run this country of about 4.7 million people like they own it. They elect a president from among themselves, and they elect a vice president for 5 years, and then they have a council of ministers that has no power, and beneath that there is a council of citizens that basically is just a talking shop. They can't change, you don't vote. This is not what we ought to be. Now there you have the problem. Dubai may be powerful and somewhat independent today, but that rotating presidency is going to give the presidency to one of the most backward sheikdoms in all of the Arabian Peninsula. All that's great about Dubai ends at the border of Dubai. And even Abu Dhabi, the number 2 emirate, is a heck of a long way behind Dubai. The total, how big is the place? About the size of South Carolina, 32,000 square miles. 1,500 square miles is the sliver of Dubai. 28,000 square miles belong to Abu Dhabi, which has all the oil. So you have commerce in Dubai and oil in Abu Dhabi. It's bound to lead to trouble. This is, if it was just Dubai, I'd say fine. But it's not just Dubai. We'd get enmeshed with a government we shouldn't be dealing with. And therefore, much as I hate to say it, because this is an internationalizing world, you can only agree with the decision that we should not have the port facilities run by a country that is so remote from the democratic principles by which we like to operate in the world. So that is a bit of geography. And it's the map. I never saw any of what I've just said in any newspaper, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, or any other source that has talked about this in the context of our having made that decision. What worries me about it, and must worry you too, is how could it be that this whole thing could have moved as far along as it did without the President of the United States knowing anything about it? he was blindsided when he found out about it, and it was just another instance of our own democracy not doing terribly well, but that's another story.